Second horse of those four horses is a red horse, and a rider that symbolizes a spirit releasing murder, causing people wanting to kill one another. There are small wars that are going on all over the place right now. They're going on all over the world in all kinds of different places. But there is coming a mega war, a mega world war. And this rider that sits on this spirit is going to release a spirit of war and murder all over this world. Those are the first two horses. It gets worse. The third rider is on a black horse, which has a pair of scales in his hand, symbolizing famine and economic collapse. Now, we've seen a little bit of that. Not being able to find meat or toilet paper or certain type of things. Sanitizer, Lysol. But we're talking now about famine. We're talking about food supplies. We're talking about economical type of collapses as far as the world system. Banking and all of those different areas. We've seen a little bit, but we're talking about a great deal greater in intensity. And then it says that whenever that this happens, is that the economy of the world will falter and cost of food will literally go through the roof. The supplies will be gone. A whole day's wages will be used to buy a loaf of bread. And then it says that the oil and the wine are not hurt, talking about more of the more wealthy or affluent people, which will cause class struggles. There's a fourth horse. It's pale in color. This rider had a name. All of the other riders do not have a name, but there's a spirit involved with it. And this rider of the fourth horse has a name. It's called Death. And it says that Hades followed him, or hell followed him. There was power given to them both, those two riders, to kill 1/4 of mankind. Now, right now, we have 7.8 billion, almost 8 billion people. And if we would take a fourth of that, that would be 2 billion that would be killed. We're not talking about thousands. We're not talking about millions, but we're talking about billions of people. We've gone through all of this, and we've seen about close to, somewhere in the neighborhood of 300,000 to 400,000 people worldwide that have been killed with this pandemic. But we're talking about billions. We're talking about huge numbers. And it says that power was given to them to kill with the sword, with hunger, with death, and by the beast of the earth. And I just made a statement that a beast, we think about it being a huge animal, but it could be small as a bat with a virus. Or it could be just a virus. It could be something that is that small that all of a sudden would be huge, that would kill millions of people, billions of people. In Revelation chapter 9 and verse number 14, there's a sayings to the sixth angel who had a trumpet. And it says this: release 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates. The river Euphrates that is located in the Middle East. It goes through Iran and Iraq. It says, so the 4 angels, now listen to this, who had been prepared for an hour, a day, a month, and a year. So this has been predetermined. For 2,000 years, this word has been written. So again, before that, there has been these angels that have been bound, spiritual demons that have been bound in this river, that they have been set there to be released at an hour, on a month, on a day, on a year. There's an event that's getting ready to happen. See, all of this is not in vain. There's getting ready to be something much more heavier that's going to take place. And they were released to kill 1/3 of mankind. Now, the number of the army of the horsemen was 200 million. 200 million. Now, the United States has a little over 350 million. Several years ago, China had a standing army for the first time in any kind of history, of world history, of a standing army of over 200 million men. That's the only time in the place of earth that any large army like that has been in existence from one country. And it says, I heard the number of them, and thus I saw the horses in the vision. Those who sat on them had breastplates of fiery red, hyacinth blue, sulfur yellow, and the heads of the horses were like heads of lions, and out of their mouths came fire, smoke, brimstone. I remember, and I'll never forget this particular time in my life. It was 1971, 72. I was doing boot camp in Fort Knox, Kentucky. And after it was over, I was assigned to, again, a tank company. And there, as I was assigned to this tank company, is that we received patches to put onto our uniform. And a patch that I put on the uniform, I'll show you in just a moment, is that it stood out to me because at that particular time, before I left, I was given a New Living Bible, and it had just come out during that time, and I was reading it. And as I was reading in Revelation, and I saw this, something really stood out to me, and we'll show you in just a moment. It says, again, by these plagues, these three plagues, a third of mankind was killed by fire and smoke and the brimstone that came out of their mouths. I just want you to see this. It's up on the screen here, and hopefully on the screen there, is that you're going to see, again, these colors that I was talking about, that Revelation chapter 9 talks about. It talks about yellow like sulfur, red like fire, and blue like hyacinth. And if you notice that whenever that I received a patch, it had these colors on it, and it was for the tank division. There are, I believe, 26, 25 different tank, all of the divisions of our tanks in the United States Army has this same patch on it, but it has a number 1 on it, or 2 or 3, all the way through to the end. They skip some numbers, but there are, I believe, 25 different divisions of our military that has, again, these patches that serve as, again, an identification of the tank division. The tank division used to be called the cavalry in the 1800s. Cavalry. And you saw horsemen that was listed there. Over on the far side, you see another flag, and that flag has blue, a color of hyacinth, red, a color of fire, and then it has a yellow star with some lines through it. And this is the Air Force, or part of the military of China. That is the symbol for their air forces of China. And so what are we talking about? And I don't know which way the things that could happen, but these are, again, symbols. I noticed that I have a large picture right in the center that has some marching men. These are the honor guard of the Army of China. And if you notice, they have blue uniforms. They're around the edges of their uniforms is yellow. And then, of course, they have the red star that's in the very center of them on their caps of those three colors. So what is all of this? Is this all in vain? No, it's not in vain. And I don't know exactly if this is the nation that's going to be coming at that time, or another, or whatever. But see, these symbols are there, and all of these things, or all of this identification that we see, is not in vain. It's a trial. It's ready for something else to happen. Remember that I told you a number of the population at the beginning of 7.8 billion, about 8 billion. So, and I said that 2 billion would be killed in that first part with death, 1/4. And then what would be left would be 6 billion, and a third of 6 billion on chapter 9 of Revelation would be another 2 billion, which would tell you that 1/2 of the earth's population would die in these two areas of Revelation. 1/2 of the earth's population. Now, up on your screen right now is that there is a website, and it shows the world population. And I believe it's in here too, right? And I wanted to show this to you to where that you could see it. And in this world's population, right now, currently, as we're talking about this, is that there is 7,786,669,000, and the numbers are going up. If you look down where it says today, is that today, the births of today is 172,600, almost 700 now, 172,700 babies that are born right now, today, right now, within this 24-hour period of time. When you get through with this, if you watch it all day long, there'll be over 300,000 babies that are born today. Today. Think of all the pain that's going on in the world today. And it's not your pain. Well, maybe a couple of you out there. But this is pain of childbirth. Okay, look right below that on this column. Today, right now, already today, there is 72,585 deaths right now today. That includes not only the coronavirus, but flus, deaths to heart attacks, deaths to car accidents, deaths that are taking place right now today. There is a population growth right now of over 100,000 in the world. Okay, but look at this year. Births this year, so far, from January through till May, right now of 24, there has been 55,423,000 births this year. Look at how many deaths. There has been, right now, this year, so far, from January 1st to May, 23,268,000 deaths, right now. See, there's something that happens all the time. It's called life and death. And life and death, it says it comes from the issues of our mouth. But also, I tell you what, it's happening. And so we have to be aware of this. We have to know what's going on. Well, we also know that there's hope that the church has in Christ's return. Maybe before all of these things that happened in Revelation chapter number 4 or 6 and chapter number 9. There's something that happened to where that the Lord will take his bride. And we don't know exactly when, but I tell you what we're speaking about right now is not in vain. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And it may be sooner than we think. And we need to get our hearts right, and we need to start serving God and start filling our hearts and mouth with his things, not the world's things. Because what he says is going to count. That's the importance of what we're dealing with. Now then, I told you about this is all not in vain. And I told you at the very beginning is that there is coming an event that is going to happen on this earth. Every year we celebrate this. We celebrate Passover. We celebrate the crucifixion of Christ. We celebrate and we talk about what happens as far as his resurrection. And then there's other feast dates that happen in Israel that is being celebrated. But there's one that's going to be happening next week. It's called Pentecost. And what is all about that? Well, Pentecost, Penta means 50. And cost is talking about, again, a harvest or a celebration. And this means that it's 50 days. Pentecost is 50 days from the Passover, or in the Christian world, it's 50 days from the crucifixion. This is after Jesus gave his life as the lamb, Passover, in the Jewish tradition, Passover lamb, Christ being the Lamb of God. And like I said, we're going to have 3 services, one on Saturday night, 2 on Sunday morning, Sunday night. We have plenty of room for people to come out, and all of the spacing and all of the things that are going on. But I want you to get this picture, is that what we talk about is that Pentecost, there's something special about Pentecost. Why do they celebrate it? It was bringing in the first harvest of the year. A first harvest. A first harvest. They would bring in the harvest, and it would be an offering before God. Well, I wonder if we can pray in a harvest. I wonder if we can pray in a harvest. Well, I believe we can. But it's up to us. Jesus talking will show a picture of the upper room. It's the same upper room